in. All right, here we go. Hello, everyone. I'm Willem.
And I am Tim.
And this is Hear Me Out, Bitch. He was so excited this time.
No idea why I went a little bit extra.
A little bit. This is, and I am too. Oh. Well, that's a way better opening than I had. So, funny enough, 3 minutes and 55 seconds. We were recording 3 minutes and 55 seconds, and then I looked down and realized no sound.
Sorry,
so
you guys didn't miss too much.
That's fine. All we talked about was Baby Jesus and D&D, so it was really cool. So, because Christmas, fantasy, and Kratos.
Yeah, and we were talking about how dark it's been getting really early.
Oh, gosh.
For those of you who don't live in Utah or who don't live in the U.S., daylight savings is a thing. Most of the U.S.
But technically, this is the time we're supposed to be in right now.
Yes, technically.
So it's crazy.
We had daylight savings this last week, and
He hates it. It's not fun. For all of you North people, but your family's from this.
Yeah.
You should be fine. Ancestral traumas.
No, it's not that. It's the fact that I have to change my clock twice every year. I'm lazy.
Oh, gosh.
I don't want to have to.
Oh, God. How are we going to do this? Oh, my gosh. How?
No,
Our phones don't need it. Our phones change on their own. It's the microwave and the fridge.
My big issue is it throws off what little of a sleep schedule I actually have. Really bad.
Oh. When it gets to around, because our sunlight window is getting shorter, and yeah, when it's dark in the morning, when you wake up at 6 for work and there is no light and your bed is the only thing warm, it is the worst.
When I am coming home from work
and it's pitch black,
and I am struggling to see the road,
it's bad.
There's an issue, and it's not my headlights. It's the sun. It's gone. Be gone, sun.
Wait. Yes.
The sun has gone to sleep.
Hello, starshine. The Earth says hello. Anybody? No.
Yeah.
Okay. Comment if you know what that's from. I have to stop looking at I have a camera.
Honestly, even if you don't know what that's from, comment, please.
Please.
We want it.
We just want to hear from you.
We are 63 or something like that episodes in, and we haven't heard
a peep
from you guys aside from Facebook posts that I have made.
No. We had a few YouTube shorts that people criticized.
I guess that's true. Well, 2 people criticized. I went back and looked. Only 2 people got mad at me.
The Ahsoka one were pretty.
It was only 2.
Oh, okay.
Everyone else was defending me.
We had a weird one kind of recently. A weird comment, which was random. Go through. It's the one about the one where I'm welcoming everybody. Kind of first time getting cameras. And oh my gosh, this comment is very weird. Brief intermission, everybody, and it's fine. We edit it out all the time. I know. It's weird.
there's a comment.
Yeah.
What?
I know. That guy got it. So I don't usually comment on it. You feel free to be like, what? You should also add what? Oh, but anyway, Tim.
What the heck?
I know. It was really weird.
I'm rereading this over and over, just trying to make any sense of this.
It makes no sense. So I don't know. I have an inkling of what their beef is, but is weird.
About what?
It.
I don't even know.
I don't know. It was weird. If you all want to find this comment, go look for it. It's hilarious.
It's on YouTube under Hear Me Out Pitch. It's one of our shorts. It's the only recent one with a comment.
So yeah, go for it.
If you're
go roast
it.
You'll see it. Go roast them. It'll be hilarious. Actually, no, don't.
Don't roast them.
No,
because that's just feeding into what they're saying.
But then it gets more stuff. It gets more interactions, and then we get more views.
That's true. I don't know. Point being,
go check out our channel.
Go check out our go check out our Facebook page, yada yada yada, all the things. And
hear me out, pitch.
Yes, make comments. Talk to us, please.
We will get you will get an episode dedicated. If I get an email, the first person that gets an email is president over everything. First person to send an email, you get your own episode within reason. Has to be nice. Please be nice.
It has to be appropriate for all ages.
And it has to be something we haven't done.
It's got to be something that is in the realm of family friendly. I personally, I will not do anything that is, rated R.
And I never, ever speak in any way that would be PG-13 or R. I am awesome.
Anyway. Moving forward. So I told Tim that I have a question. A thought, a situation that I think we could turn into an original idea of sorts, or at least have a discussion. We've done this before. We had a discussion about prodigal sons type of characters and how wonderful they are. Went through some of our favorites. And this might be one of those things. If not, it will be just an original idea. But I have always found the archetype of hero turned villain, like one of the main characters ends up becoming, like, for the final, like, let's say it's a trilogy, book 1 best friends, book 2 we're starting to see it, and by the end of book 2 they have the big reveal is they're part of it. And I just we're talking about Professor Oak's grandson in the Pokemon games.
I was thinking more of Moash, but all right.
That too. Moash is another one.
We are
of those.
Brandon Sanderson lovers here, and
if you're not, you should be. You should go read his books. Thanks.
Modern day J.R. Tolkien, right there.
Yeah.
Just saying. And listening to it like the 5th time is bad. I'm getting ready for book 5, baby. Book 5. Don't talk to me or Tim. We might not record. I'm just kidding. We'll see what happens.
I'll be available. I'm going to be listening to it on my way to and from work and all that stuff.
But my commute's 40 minutes, so I get a lot longer.
My commute is 12. 2, and it's about 30
back.
Because rush hour, it's a party.
It's a party.
I miss rush hour on my way to work, and then I hit it full force on my way home. Great.
Like a brick. Mm-hmm. So I think, you know what I mean?
You know what I mean? I like the archetype of it is what I have come to call the Professor Oak's grandson syndrome.
I didn't know you were such a. I should.
It is something that I haven't actually ever called it that, but that is,
your first person you think of is typically Gary.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. The first person I think of is Gary Oakes, because in the games, right, he's your best friend, and then he becomes your biggest rival.
Oh gosh, I've only played a few games, and every time you run into him, it's like, do I need this now? I don't need you right now.
Right.
And that feeling,
you never. Here's the thing: you either always have type advantage, or you never have type advantage. It's never one. It's always one or the other, and it's. I'm Pokemon.
No, I get it. No, I get it. No, Tim.
Good.
Tim.
I'm glad you understand. For those of you who don't understand, I don't want to explain it.
That's a whole rabbit hole that we have to go down. But for Tim, I should say, again, 6-year difference. I was around when the show first started. I was...
Fair.
When Ash Ketchum was voiced by Bart Simpson. Yeah, I was... Yeah. I realized that I'm probably really far away.
She has retired the voice of Ash Ketchum.
Yep. And Ash just won recently. That's what's crazy.
That was his final victory.
I got headphones. I got to make sure I sound okay. I realized I didn't realize I was so far away. Now hopefully I didn't bug everybody. Probably did.
Oh.
Okay.
So
anyway,
the archetype. So I like that. I'm going to call
it's
that
the Gary Oakes archetype.
I like the Professor
Where
Oak's
it's-
grandson archetype. Just longer name, like some Japanese.
Professor Oak's grandson archetype.
It fits with the Japanese anime of it all. So.
But that archetype where it's someone that you know, it's supposedly your best friend. We're gonna, you mentioned before Moash,
No.
right? He is probably the most extreme version of this, where he was. Honestly, he probably was Kaladin's best friend at one point, because they got each other. They understood. They were brothers. And then Moash made some decisions and killed a certain someone.
Stop. That is like side spoiler. I mean, he's killed a lot of people.
Killed a lot of people. If you haven't read those books, go read them now. You're back.
Okay.
It's been a really long time.
Wow, that was a long, good job. You did a great job reading those books. And no, it cuts deep. And I think probably for many people, especially here in the U.S. and many people who grew up Christian, one of our first experiences. Again, I'm going to treat the Bible like a story. I'm not trying to go theological. We're going to treat it purely story. Judas is one of the biggest betrayals that you will ever read about in literature. If you want to treat the Bible as storybooks, it's an intense betrayal. You're like, wow, this man was chosen by this holy figure, saw all these miracles, and betrayed him. And I think that's kind of cool because Peter and Judas, if you are to ask which of the apostles were my favorite, it's Peter and Judas, because I believe they teach us lessons, and they both betrayed Jesus in some way, and one decided to forgive themselves and move on. The other one didn't and tried to give that pain away. And I think that's how Moash is. He took a Judas type route, and he refused to let the guilt, to let it go. And if that makes sense, I don't know. I don't know if I'm just ranting or making up stuff, but that's just how I feel. I don't know how I don't know how betraying doesn't have to coincide with the archetype that we're talking about, but it normally does. It usually happens with many of these characters, and I'm sitting here trying to come up with a few right off the bat, and I can't.
Oh.
Anyway.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of... I'm just looking online to see what some of the biggest betrayals in media history would be.
Ooh.
Most of them were Game of Thrones. I'm sorry, I've never seen it.
Neither have I.
I don't care to watch it just because of what's in there. But there's
quite a few.
There's, in fact, I think about half of these are Game of Thrones, and it makes me not want to watch Game of Thrones, because now I'm just going to expect everyone to backstab each other.
I personally enjoy, for all of you who read Red Rising, there's so much betrayal and turns, and some of them were complete. Oh gosh. Oh. But why is it that we enjoy seeing these? Why don't we make just a perfect setting, everyone gets along, and how come that isn't a thing? Like, I'm trying to think of a story where everyone gets along, but even with like Disney movies, Toy Story, no. He launched Buzz out the window. Yeah. I know they weren't friends, but that was insane, and everyone turned on Woody. Woody, to me, is the villain in the first movie.
At least in the first half.
In the first half.
And then it's Sid.
Yes. Sid is, of course, like the main, it's the one that you can hide behind, but Woody Sid is the bad guy, but Woody is the antagonist.
Mm-hmm. I would say another pretty big betrayal, at least, talking about Toy Story, Lotso.
Oh gosh,
Like,
she don't love you no more.
He was their best friend, right? He introduced them. He was the kindest soul. He introduced them into the into the daycare, and then within 5 minutes, oh, you're put in the kiddie daycare where they're gonna beat you up, and if you survive, then you can come play with us big kids.
That was nuts.
It was like, oh my gosh.
I personally love the third movie. Fourth one, meh.
Third one's good. I haven't seen the fourth one. I just never cared to see it.
It's got a few nice scenes. That's about it.
I honestly, here's Tim's hot take.
Oh,
Toy Story should have died when Andy left for college.
Yep.
That's it. It should have. I would have been okay to watch some, of the Disney shorts where it's just the adventures of
them in the daycare,
Buzz and Woody in the daycare, and with Bonnie, but a full movie. Now we're getting another movie, and I
enjoyed our idea way better. And if you guys want to know that one, you have to listen to the first. We're probably gonna re-summarize that video someday in the near future.
Probably.
But it just rewinding back, I think antagonists,
traitors. I think another big traitor probably would be Brutus in Roman history.
Oh, E2 Brutus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because he was, if I remember correctly, he was Julius Caesar's advisor, right? And then he stabbed him in the back. He
was one of the last ones, and Caesar saw him coming and was like, even you? And you're like, wow.
Yeah. Like, it's just, it's a trait of certain characters that we see that makes us both love and hate them. Because we love the personal connection they made with our protagonist, right? Going back to Moash, right? He was one of the people that told Kaladin to get his butt back in gear and to stand up and work and not give up. He was one of the main people that pushed Kaladin to keep going, right? Whether by word or by
action,
example, right? He helped Kaladin keep going, and then it just stings that much more, and it makes us hate what he's become.
So it was a grudge. A grudge is one of the big things that drove him. Mm-hmm. And in other stories I've read, it's little betrayals from the protagonist that leads into the ultimate big betrayal. And sometimes I can't blame them sometimes, because it's all about perspective, I guess. So I've been wondering what would be a fun twist on the traitor, and I think the fun one is a traitor of the main antagonist, someone who turns good. I think that's always been a fun kind of situation that happens every now and then.
Yeah, I actually, one of the moments that I thought was kind of clever in Star Wars Episode 8. I did not care for that story, that the way that they twisted Star Wars. I've talked about it before. If you haven't listened to my Star Wars episodes, go listen to them. They're great. I'm very proud of what I've done. They're not perfect because they were definitely rough drafts, but I feel like go listen to them. Just go listen to them. Anyway, in Star Wars Episode 8, right? In I believe it's called The Last Jedi, we see General Hux, right? And we in The Force Awakens, right? He is there's the three main antagonists, right? We've got Kylo Ren, General Hux, and then we have Snoke in the very, very background. Snoke was kind of the Sidious of that trilogy. I guess the first two. Anyway, General Hux then is a traitor in Episode 8, where he actually helps Finn and Rose and helps them get what they need and get out.
The redhead guy?
Yeah.
He does?
Yeah.
I don't even remember that.
He turns on them and joins the rebellion.
He does?
Yeah. Another one, if you have ever watched
Are you sure
Rebels,
that's the eighth one?
Yeah. If you've ever watched Rebels, in season 1, there's the main, I believe it's an ISB agent, but he's the main guy chasing the rebels, and then later he turns on the Empire, and he's actually, he has a change of heart, and he ends up feeding intel to the rebels. And he becomes a good guy, and he is very, very helpful. And I think that's another really big. He's another really big character that I think his character arc is very fun in that series, just because he's, it's not the typical traitor. I'm going from the good to the bad. I'm going from the bad to the good, which is something we don't see as often as I would like.
I think we're slowly turning into the idea of turning of hearts. Mm-hmm. And I think my favorite one, y'all might disagree with this. Y'all might think it's a weird one, or you might not. Javert from Les Miserables. Don't know if you've ever seen it.
Nope.
Okay. I'm just gonna tell you because it's an old musical, old movie. It's been out for that movie's been out for now 12 years. Musical's even older. Story's even older. Javert is a prison guard who keeps having a run-in with the main protagonist, Jean Valjean. Jean Valjean escaped. He was able to get away, start a new life. He's basically Javert's great white whale, always hunting him down. At the end of the movie or story, the barricade has fallen for the French Revolution. Javert was one of the people who was trying to stop them, kill them. He even snuck in, and they figured out who he was, and they have him bound, and Jean Valjean shows up, and he lets him go. He lets him go in the middle of the night and lets him go. And Javert is like, hold up, I've been after you your whole life, for so many years. I kept you in prison for all those years, blah, blah, blah. And near the end, he has this chance to fight. He has him cornered. Jean Valjean is trying to rescue a young man from the barricade, and he's just cornered, and he lets him go. And he does kind of fall apart after he lets him go, commits suicide, just jumps off this balcony. Just love that scene so much. But I think I say that way too much. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? I think changing of the heart to me is so profound. And I think we see that we've seen that in many of our own stories.
We see it in Zuko.
We see it. Oh my gosh.
One of our favorite characters that we've talked about a million times.
So many times.
And Iroh.
Yeah. I don't think we see his change of heart, but we know that it happened.
We see around it.
I personally don't, hot take, I personally don't think he was ever truly like dirt bag of the Fire Nation. I don't think that the spirit realm, I think he was always a person who was open-minded, but he just was kind of trapped in his country and
his father was his father.
Yep. And maybe that's not a good excuse, but whatever. I feel like we've been rambling, and that's okay. No.
Well, what would you like to see then? Because we, in stories, right, in media, we see it. We see the trope of the traitor every now and again in a really good story. Again, we see it with Zuko. We see it with General Hux. We see it with like 90% of the people that Indiana Jones hangs out with. And it's just, I feel like I say that a lot. I feel like, you know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
But I feel like seeing that trope, one, it shows us that change is possible. just from like a theological standpoint. It shows us that change is possible, and that, you know, it's never too late to make a change that will alter the course of your life, for good or for worse. And I think that helps us see that we are human. We'll just feel it.
Okay, here is a fun idea I've been thinking, and it could be in the wake of this past week of being kind of divided by certain choices. And I'll just leave it at that. Don't want to get into any stuff outside of storytelling. And we've come up with worlds where it's divided by species or people. Or what if we had a character who, right from the beginning of our story, was right down the middle? Whether it's appearance, species, something. Imagine how interesting it would be if everyone sees him as a turncoat, traitor, whatever, right off the bat. He has been given the role of, you don't belong because you are also them. And this character could be titled the Traitor.
I think that would be really cool. I could see it in... Here's where I could see it. I could see it in a fantasy setting, high fantasy.
I am thinking high fantasy. I don't think it would fit in. It's either alien. I'm either thinking alien sci-fi, or we go fantasy route.
I like the high fantasy.
I think high and I like working with that easier because I have Tim. He's my fantasy guru, and I'm good at just molding. I don't even know what I'm good at when it comes to this. I just do all the talking. Tim comes up with the ideas. He writes scripts for me and he passes it on the table. You guys don't see it.
What you don't see is right here between us. We've actually got a screen, and I'm just typing away what he needs to say.
Yes, absolutely. He is typing all this. Tim, I can't say that.
Sorry. Stuff. No. Anyway, I think
high fantasy.
I don't really need the mythological creatures and stuff. Maybe some, but I think some magic would be fun. This week I've been working on a couple things. One of them is board game that I'm working on. Called Dungeoneer, and I will be probably talking about that more in the future.
To be announced.
We're excited for that.
Heads up for it. Playtesting is happening, and I have the first level of the game is in playtest mode at the moment.
It's pretty impressive, guys.
Anyway, more on that.
Selfish plug by Tim.
Yep. More on that in future episodes. One of the other things that I've been working on is D&D.
Yeah.
Our campaign that I've been running for you guys. I've been exploring some more world building stuff, and while I've been working on my board game, right, I'm making cards that are encounter cards that you will draw, and some of these are monsters and stuff that you get to fight, and I think they're really neat, really unique. And
is it gonna be for us?
No.
Oh, you went back,
but. Taking those monsters, some of the inspiration from some of those, I have been working those into D&D, whether for our current campaign or for future campaigns. Just ideas for when we finish our current storyline, new characters and everything.
How far are we from that?
It depends on if you guys want to go all the way to level 20 or not. Anyway, I think what I'm trying to get at is there's some elements in my world building that involve a wizard war that has been really fun to come up with and create, little side stories that Willem's never going to know about. My wife isn't ever going to know about them. My friends aren't going to know about them, but
he knows.
I know, and I get to create those, and then I get to take what I learned creating those events, and then I can put them into story building. into my stories, whether it's my books, again, future campaigns, talking about these stories that Willem and I are creating for you guys. And there's one in particular that I think kind of fits this theme.
Okay.
Now that I'm thinking about it a little more, there's one particular, and you're never gonna know about this. You might hear it in passing. Your characters might hear it in passing, but basically, in this wizard war, there are 5 factions, split into 2 teams, I guess, 2 sides.
Mm-hmm.
And there is one wizard who all of them hate because he's the one who set up the war, who caused it, who made, set events into place that made everything happen. And he himself isn't necessarily a bad guy. He just made a couple decisions while he was in leadership that caused the other 5 factions to kind of turn on each other and see him as the reason for them turning on each other.
Okay.
So, and he is possibly the most powerful wizard in the realm. So you might meet him at some point. Probably not. We'll see. We'll see how the dice roll.
Oh.
But this fellow is basically a traitor on all sides. Not really. He's not really loved by anybody. Kind of like Snape in Harry Potter, right?
Half-blood.
Good guys don't really like him. Bad guys don't really care for him. He's just kind of there.
No one trusts him.
On both sides.
Man, Snape is the definition. Snape kind of is.
Snape would be the double traitor.
Nobody ever trusted him, and honestly, kind of for good reason, though.
Yeah.
So I don't want. Wow, you basically just brought up a character that I would have. Wow. Okay. Wow. I feel like I was thinking about something kind of original.
I was talking about wizards, and then I was like, wait a minute.
Well, we don't need it. So Snape is the character. Good night, everybody.
But no, I think in a high fantasy setting, having something similar where it doesn't have to be one city. It could be a couple kingdoms that work together, that this one character kind of, maybe he, the kind of the classic trope of he said, she said kind of thing. He goes to one king and says, the other king's planning on attacking you tomorrow at dawn. And then he goes to the other king and he's like, hey, the other king is planning on attacking you at dawn. And then they fight.
Well, I don't want this.
Not necessarily evil.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that, but that kind of situation.
I'm thinking of a character that is basically bestowed traitor on everyone, and he's never done anything. A very kind of like Snape. What?
Zeth.
If I could play any character, Tim, I think I could rock Seth. I think I could do it.
That'd be really cool. That'd be really cool.
I'd do it. I would play him in a heartbeat. I'd get in better shape and shave my head, make my eyeballs big, and I'd be fine. I look pretty young when I'm shaved, so it's fine. Yeah. I'm getting old with the beard. Anyway,
you almost can't tell that he's
70
50s
or whatever. Tim's in his 30s. I'm in my 50s. Anyway,
this is how I look when I'm in my 30s. I think I'll be okay.
I think you're fine. You'll be fine.
If in my 30s I look like I'm in my teens, we have an issue.
Oh gosh. I think you'll be fine. I don't know. This is basically how I'm going. I am so scared.
Anyway,
when 2025 hits, I'm gonna be oh my gosh. Anyway. I want this character. I kind of like the idea that you said of him going. In my mind, the character's gonna be male.
That's kind of the idea that I had.
It just, I could see them being female as well. Just saying, but I think I don't know, just as two dudes, sometimes one of the best ways for us to do is just making up just a dude character. So
we know how guys think. We know how we'll act. I'm not gonna pretend I understand what my wife is thinking half the time.
If I was, well, this is like a solitary character with a very unique position, and I want to just kind of based on how me and you would probably think. I don't want to try to guess. I feel like most people. Anyway, point being, I'm imagining as a man. If we do get it as a character with a name, then if we give this character a name, then yeah, we'll make it stick. But most of the time when we make these characters, we do make them with the idea that anybody can be them. Hope you all know that. We really do like trying to making universal characters. Good gravy. I cannot talk. But the idea that you gave of him going between kingdoms, I really like that. And I just imagine
kind of the messenger.
Yeah, or at least not even that. I want him to have the ability of blending in. I know he didn't want them to be like different species, but I kind of like the idea that they're somewhat different in some ways. Maybe it's their horns. Maybe they're like different type of tiefling, something like that.
Here's what I'm thinking. Our character, his parents are from each of the kingdoms.
Yep.
And so he has kind of a diplomatic immunity. And maybe his parents are both high-ranking officials in each of their communities.
Aww.
And so no matter what he does, he can't get arrested.
They are the happy ending of Romeo and Juliet, except they realized. So I would imagine we would start the story talking about these two different kingdoms. I like the idea of them being highly diplomatic, just like with I cannot remember Romeo and Juliet's family's names at the moment.
Capulets and something else.
Oh, Montague? No.
Yeah,
I feel like we're saying the name
Montague.
wrong. I feel like we're saying it. I think we're just off by a little bit. Either way. Something. They realized their story would end. They were going to do the similar thing. I would do a big nod to Romeo and Juliet. They were planning to killing each other because they cannot, two star-crossed lovers. You can't be happy ending. Mm-hmm. And it would just be happy. She was planning on poisoning herself. He comes in, stops her right before she takes it.
Could be prince and a princess.
Yeah.
And so when our main character is born, he has kind of almost like a forced diplomatic immunity where he's royalty. They can't touch him.
But I don't want either of the kingdoms to know about him now in any way until near the end. He's going to be a big cornerstone of uniting them. But the beginning of the movie would be their struggles because they realize this is all secret. This is all in jest. Like, we could be revealed that when she saves him, she falls into his arms crying, and she says and now I'm imagining all the fantasy talk. I am with child, and it's like, no. Don't know why I made her sound like an old man, but yeah, just I am with child, and that sort of just, oh my gosh, scandal, love it. The tea is piping
Moses
hot.
Moment where the kid is raised by the
I was just imagining they run away.
Oh, okay.
The movie just seriously begins very similar to, I kind of like how you said Moses, because I was imagining Moses' mother and siblings kind of running away from the awful massacre at the beginning. Hooray, Prince of Egypt. Oh. But that's kind of where I would start it, and I don't know if I was kind of thinking the parents turn on each other and they pass on before, or they get discovered, or something happens. But I want this character to be able to look like either kingdom, and we just see him kind of being a rent, like Aladdin type character, but he sneaks in and he'll change his. So maybe one kingdom has tails and the other kingdom has antlers, something like that.
Okay.
So one kingdom, these proper elven type, they have antlers. The other one's they're still proper, but they kind of slouch, and they have slouch, and they have these tails. But they're very similar angular faces. They would just look similar, except horns.
Very, very fey.
Yeah.
Creatures.
Fey and tiefling. Am I saying that right? Is that right? Okay, I'm not that big of a nerd.
That's all right. You don't have to be.
Well, I am a big nerd.
He is. He doesn't like to admit it all the time, but he's he's a very nerdy nerd. If you look in a box of nerds, some of the little nerds are probably shaped like his face.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what gives it away of what I'm nerdy about.
You actually kind of have to look.
Yeah, you do. It's my little shrine. But I think that's how. I think the ending would be the Two Kingdoms. It might be a cheesy movie. Again, we do enjoy kind of more family-friendly stories. I feel like this would be a decent one, fast, simple. I love how this went from a talk of traitors to the idea of this character being labeled the traitor. So I would want him to somehow be...
I think just the visual of him having antlers and a tail would be treasonous enough for people to know, like, oh, that's an unholy union. Like, what's going on?
That should not work. It never should have happened. How dare they? It's unheard of. It could be, it could be revealed at the end of the story. There are other people hidden. We could have people from the antler side. They're people who are just like him. They all wrap their tails. Everyone else cuts their horns off on the other kingdom, and they just wear hats.
Or they have them behind, like, under their hair.
Yeah, they've like done something to change them. So
I like the idea that the horns are kind of back here in the hair, in the hairline.
And they go up.
And they kind of go up and out.
Would you rather go up and out or up and behind the head? I've always liked the idea of, and the reason why I like up and behind the head is because to me that makes more sense when it's humanoid, because you don't really want these blocking. I don't know. I've always seen them more as like almost.
So here's just
nerd moment, everybody.
Here's a nerd moment.
Dun, dun, dun.
If a creature has horns, generally, it is out of protection, or generally it's protection. They are some sort of prey, right? And so generally, if the horns are coming out for, when you're talking about like deer and moose, right? The horns, they kind of come out and up, and that way, just the way that moose and deer are, right? They can butt heads literally, and their horns will take the brunt of the damage, and they'll be somewhat okay. But I don't know. I kind of like the idea that our characters, I'm imagining almost like little deer horns where they kind of go up and almost form like a crown. It was
starting to be,
and they kind of go around the front of the head.
I imagine,
or the sides.
What's the character from Deus Ex Machina?
You mean Vox Machina?
Vox Machina. Oh my gosh.
Keyleth's crown.
Yeah. That's what I'm kind of thinking. And then just the other side, they don't have those, and they just have these, I don't want to say devil tails.
I've been imagining like lion's tails. Where they're kind of fuzzy, and then they've got kind of like big fur ball in the end.
Okay. I can work with that. Okay. All right. So I want him to have, and I want this story to... I don't know if I want them to try to kill him. I want him to have the sense.
They try to run him out of town.
I want him to, like, it shows him as a little boy trying, because I want him to be, I don't want him to be abandoned by his parents. I need there to be a tragedy, something, or the Romeo and Juliet complex just caught up with them, or when they tried to be diplomatic, their families took them away. Ooh. Oh. Oh. What? No. Tim, we have to have the parents are still alive and they're ruling each other's kingdoms.
They traded.
No. Sorry. They're ruling their kingdoms, and they're going to go to war. Maybe we didn't get the happy ending, and maybe they did abandon him, or they were just called to action. Maybe they tried to go back, and they both were kind of forced. They both have different marriages. They both have different unities. Oh, because could you imagine the tension between them? They both feel like the other one betrayed them. So that's where the traitor complex can come in.
Okay.
So both of them feel like they're in the wrong. They're in the right. And they feel like that feeling that you get with Moash, that's how they feel about the other person. They still love them so much.
They're just frustrated that they made decisions.
They have regret. They have everything, all the memories. But again, they realized, so what would cause these two to turn against each other? Why would they go back to their kingdoms? Did they try to...
I think it would just end up being the whole, they have to take on leadership for each of their kingdoms.
They each hear that their parents are dying, or they need to return, and their kingdoms miss them. And how far apart would these two kingdoms be? Are we talking like Salt Lake to Lehigh? We talking that's about 25 miles, or are we talking like a great distance?
I'm thinking South Jordan to Bountiful.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Not super
terrible.
far.
But again, this is back in mythology.
Back when that journey alone would have taken a full day.
Yeah. So we're not going to say they're pretty advanced. They are simple. Maybe they do ride dragons.
I'd say they've got horses and stuff.
The royal family have dragons.
Magic horses, yeah.
We like dragons.
We do like dragons.
In this household, we like dragons. Me and Tim are now brethren. I don't know. In this household of Barnes Godfrey. Mesh Kingdoms. Anyway. All right, well, I'll be more kind of leaning on the side of those who have tails. If you want to think more on the side of those who have horns.
All right.
So I'll let you be the daddy. It's fine. I'll do my best to be a estranged wife. But I'm actually kind of liking this.
Yeah.
The idea of they originally were going to run away. It was a young Romeo and Juliet. Oh, now I'm thinking, just what if Romeo and Juliet ran away and they just realized their families, they slowly drifted apart. They were young, they were foolish, and they slowly turned to resent each other. The family trauma each other caused.
Here's what it could be. We could totally do a Shakespeare thing where they went back to their kingdoms out of a sense of duty because their parents were dying or whatever. And then over time, they're fed lies about the other by their advisors. And these advisors could be very obviously evil, and trying to wipe out the other kingdom, and then we could totally have a moment where our main character discovers that the two advisors are working together, trying to bring the downfall of both kingdoms, and then they were gonna take over.
They're long lost.
Or it could be the same dude. Could be the same guy. Both advisors are just the same guy with teleportation magic and stuff.
He's just like him.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
that could be the big reveal.
Yes.
So when he goes to one kingdom, he wears like a hood.
He's got like illusion. He's got illusions and stuff.
Something
to hide.
So he just lets his tail go out.
I like that idea.
But he could also interact with the sun and just be. But he hides both from the sun. He hides his tail. He's just trying to be like something else. That could be the big reveal. Is our kind of wizened old character who's kind of ran into. He found this character, and he had to make sure that. So where would this character come from, or is it gonna be he's himself? That's him from the future.
No,
too far.
We're not gonna pull that kind of garbage.
I
think.
Oof.
I think it would be he was just, similar situation, except his parents weren't royalty, and he sees that a divide between the people is just. It sucks, and he thinks that people should just not exist because they're just terrible. Or I guess not that people shouldn't exist, but the kingdoms shouldn't exist, and that whoever survives between the war between the kingdoms will create a stronger society that is more welcoming. But I think for this story, it could just be, he was raised by both.
There could be
in secret, and he saw that having two separate kingdoms is a mistake, and whoever survives, any who survive the battle, the war between the two kingdoms, would create a stronger society that would accept change and that would accept, horns and tails, not just one or the other.
No, I think that is perfect. I think that is exactly what I'm thinking.
The right desire, just the wrong way to go about it.
No, exactly. And our hero is going to be able to be the bridge between that. And I want him to find, maybe there's more than just him. He's like, they are just called the traitors. But that's how I imagine it. And maybe, so when would our character, so the beginning of the movie would be him thinking he's completely alone. How old would he be when he found this third race, this third group, that he's not alone? I don't think there'd be that many, though.
I think he'd be a young adult.
I think there's only how big would these kingdoms be? They are like tens of thousands on each side. I would imagine that the idea of them, it could be happening for generations. They could be I think that maybe a couple hundred could be hidden somewhere. And they could be, breeding with each other, and they're becoming their own species.
Their own group, yeah.
We'll think of something. I think them being labeled the traitors. I
think the traitors.
The traitors is pretty cool.
I think it works. And we can have just for fun, we can have some slurs that are race specific to these characters, to these creatures that we're talking about.
I will not be around some antler head.
Well,
you're just a stupid like fluffy tail. Oh!
Yeah, something kind of funny like that, where it's, it's not.
It's like the robot Clanker from Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I feel awkward saying nowadays. I'm like, it's turning into an old type of thing. I would want our character to feel completely alone, and then when he meets this group, he feels completely welcomed.
I like that. And I think the advisor should come and visit. And I think what we could do is have the advisor start, maybe the advisor recognizes like facial features, build, that kind of stuff. And he's like, wait a minute, you're the offspring of both our leaders. You could be the catalyst to start this war. And then, maybe he's like grooming him. I don't have a ton of time because my wife is going to be home soon.
Okay.
But I think just rough outline, we could have our advisor start kind of grooming our main character for the role of harbinger of war kind of thing.
What if it was... This is again, we're talking about traitors. What if the like elder of this group? So again, I imagine there's three people who are one. Advisor to those with antlers, advisor to those with tails, and then the high elder of the traitors. I would want them to be revealed as the same person.
Mm-hmm.
Old man of the traitors, he
needs to be super old. I'm imagining
not super old.
I'm imagining almost like
he is an elder, or at least the leader.
I'm imagining something like Blue Fingers in Warbreaker, the advisor. Something where he's not like old. He's just playing both sides.
Yeah.
Granted, Bluefinger was playing one side expertly.
I need to read that again. It's been a fat minute.
Anyway,
the point I was trying to make was that I would want the old man to make him think, "Oh, I'm going to introduce you to your parents, and you're going to bring the two kingdoms together, and it's going to be great. Don't worry. I have connections in the kingdom. It's going to be wonderful. Don't worry." And then I would want the big reveal, like the advisor would be like, we should go for peace, and like there'll be messengers. He'll use his little groups to act as like messengers from the others, and the traitor group are trying to because they can be spies. They can mingle in and look like the other people. It doesn't really matter. So all of them are working together and spreading the idea that, the other side wants peace. We should meet together. And then they get revealed. Bam! Your king and your queen had a child, and they should be used to it. And I think the goal would be for them to kill the royal families, or at least to do that, and then that would start like a bigger war. Because why not? But I think it would backfire, and that's like a hard, because we have like all these sides of things. We're gonna have to really dive into this maybe another day, but I think
it's a multi-front war that we're trying to figure out at 8:40 at night.
Well, now I'm getting all excited. So maybe we might
come back to this.
We might come back to this next week. I think this might be one of those random ones where we get a part 2.
I like that idea.
Because...
And that way we can leave you guys on a cliffhanger, and if you have ideas in the few days that we've got this up before we record again, you guys can feed us ideas of what you kind of want to see from this story.
I'm actually really excited. I'm very... to emphasize, I'm going to try to find a way for that feeling of... I really want to come back to the Professor Oak grandson complex archetype. The idea that you feel, I want the Gary archetype of this, the Moash feeling, and I want it to be ironic that everyone calls this sect, these people, the traitors, but yet all these people... I don't know. I want the idea that sometimes we'll force this idea upon people, and if you do that long enough, they'll turn into that. When you abandon people, I feel like even if it doesn't have to be the idea of traitors, I feel like we're just coming up with something really fun and really interesting, and I think we'll come up with more. I think it's a good place to stop. It's been an hour.
Yeah.
It's been a good chat.
Well, and you guys get to wait.
I think this will just be titled a discussion episode, and next week we will dive into actually making this story. We'll try to come up with names. We'll come up with points, a beginning, middle, and an end. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. And maybe this will be kind of the layout that we do in future episodes.
Yeah.
First part is discussion. Second part is getting the story down. Unless people start commenting and giving us ideas.
Yes. Among those ideas, you could also give us ideas of like movies that you thought were really bad that need to be fixed that we haven't already done.
Any story that you were disappointed with, we want to hear about.
Doesn't have to be movies. It could be books, TV shows, video games, anything. If it's a video game, I'll make sure I play it through before I'll try to play it through before we talk about it, if possible.
Yeah, but I think that's where I'm going to call it. So thank you all for listening, and that's it for me. What about you, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, as always, love each other, be kind, try to make the world a little bit better, and until next time, we will see you later, pitches.
Bye.